Welcome back to the ETF Inspector. Happy 4th of July. Hopefully everybody's off, but I know some people still have to work. There's 24/7 types of jobs, but no trading today. The stock market's closed. This video will not be any kind of information on any yield max funds. This is just my personal trades I've done through the week. This is just a fun video for me to make each week. So you can comment, tell me if you're doing similar trades or if you think my trades don't make any sense or whatever. That's fine. This one's just kind of fun for me, and you'll hear a little bit of nature because I'm out on the back patio. It's a beautiful morning, so there's a little bit of birds going on. Kids keep coming by with their soccer ball and basketball. But let's get to it. Talk about the different trades and holdings I have. So we'll start with the first two poor man's covered calls. They're not. I didn't make any trades on them this week, so I'll just do a quick update. The first one is on Intel. Right, I bought a leap for a $15 strike. I paid $8.95 for it. I've been selling calls against that. So the point of poor man's covered calls is instead of at the time Intel was $22.67, so I would have needed $2,267 to buy 100 shares and sell calls off of them. Instead, I only had to put up $895 to buy this call deep in the money, and then I'm able to sell calls off of that. So it's just a way, it helps your percentage too, because now instead of every sale being a percentage of your $2,200, it's just a percentage of your, call it $900. So since then, Intel's gone down and up a little. It's pretty much right where I started, right? So the stock closed on Thursday afternoon at $22.49. The call that I have is worth $8.25. I paid $8.95 for it, so it's lost about 70 cents. And I have collected across, these multiple sales. I currently have a call sold for July 18th. That's with a $23 strike price. All right, it's currently out of the money, right, because it's only $22.49, and its closing value was 55 cents. So as we get closer to the 18th, that will decay away unless the stock price rises above 23. So I didn't do anything with that, just kind of give an idea on where it's at. I've currently collected enough to take that initial $895 down to $759. So that's my cost basis right now. So it's doing okay. Nothing special on Intel. The SoFi one is getting exciting. It keeps on running up way past my my strike prices on the calls. So I bought a deep in the money leap, right? A strike price of $5, paid $6.83 for it. The stock closed on Thursday at $18.57. So my call current value is $14.10 a share. There's 100 shares in a contract. So that's got great value, except for the fact that I currently have a $15 call sold against it. So that call is obviously $3.57 in the money right now. It's out till August 1st, though, so I'm kind of just playing the waiting game because the person who purchased this call could do an early assignment at some point, which would have me sell them shares at 15 that I don't have. Then I would just have to call my broker, tell them to exercise this $5 call that I have to be able to get the shares. So I'd buy them for $5, I'd sell them for 15. But the current value on that August 1st $15 call that I sold is $3.94. So if I wanted to close that out, I'd have to pay $3.94. So I don't want to do that. This one, if you watched earlier videos, the same thing happened to me with APLD. They ran up high. At the end of the day, it's okay. You'll end up making a profit, just not as big as one as you were initially hoping to by selling calls for the next year and a half. All right, now we'll get into actual action that took place this week. I've got them. I'm starting from the most money I made to the least money. So I got in on this TSLL. I'm having fun selling puts on those. So far, I haven't been assigned at all. So currently, I had an $11 strike for the third that I'd sold the previous Thursday. collected 24 cents on it. So I told you about that last week. So this is just the update. I closed that out. That's a mistake. I didn't pay 2. I paid 0.02. So collected 23.32 and paid $2.03 to close that out. So that was a nice win. I like to close out for 90% or better of what I collected in the first place. I like to keep 90% of the money. Obviously, I like to keep 100%, but I want to hurry up and turn around and sell it. So I didn't want to wait until expiration and have this available next week. So I closed that, and what else did I do? I closed that on the 3rd, so that goes with this one. I sold a 10.50, so I dropped it another 50 cents. Sold it out for the following Friday. I collected another $25 minus the commission. And then also on Monday and Tuesday, I made a couple TSLA sales. So I like it when President Trump and Elon Musk getting little tiffs, because Tesla drops basically for no reason. So I wait for the drop, then I sell a TSLA put, because that's got double the leverage. So then when it comes back, because nothing was wrong with the company itself, it was just some dumb news, I end up getting to keep the profit. So I sold $10 calls for the 25th and $9 calls for the 18th and $9.50 puts, all puts, for the 11th, and I collected $62, $37, and $38. Currently, the stock closed on Thursday afternoon at 11:53, so everything I've got sold is out of the money. If it stays that way, they will all expire worthless. I'll be able to close them out for pennies and sell again. So far, selling cash secured puts on TSLL, I've collected $373, and I haven't been assigned yet. So even if I get assigned, I'll have a very nice price average. Okay, next up is IONQ. This one's my favorite. I didn't make a whole lot of money on this trade, but it was just a nice percentage in a very short amount of time. So I sold a $37 put while the stock was at 42, so 13.5% out of the money. I sold it on July 2nd for $51, and I closed it on July 3rd for $15. So I got to keep 36 out of $51. That came out to, basically, if I were able to make that trade, that was a one-day 348% annual yield. So generally I won't close them that high, but if I get to make that much of a difference in a day or two, percentage-wise, I actually almost closed it the day before at 25, because it would have been a same-day trade, keeping 50% of the money. But I got to keep another roughly 10%. So I will again trade some IONQ next week when the markets open. So not a big chunk, but a nice percentage in a very short amount of time. Next is Webull. I didn't sell anything here. I had previously sold July 11th 10.50s and $10 strikes, both cash secured puts. These have been back to June 12th and June 25th, so neither sales took place in this week. So I might have actually messed up. On the next, when I show you the profits and loss, this one won't be any kind of profit. It's technically, because I closed these out on the 2nd, paying 6 cents and 3 cents, or $6 and $3 per contract. So I collected $110 and paid $6 to close it. I collected $38 and paid $3 to close it. So and the stock is currently at $14.30, but that doesn't really matter because I currently don't have an open position. So all right, so just remember, all this is a negative $9.06. I'm not sure why I missed that. Okay, and then the final wheel strategy. I forgot to mention these are all wheel strategies. You sell a put until you get assigned, and then once you have the assignment and you have the shares, you sell calls until you get assigned, and then you keep on rolling back and forth. Okay, so I originally had a cash secured put on Bitto for $20.50, expiring Thursday. We've already talked about that because I closed that out last week. No, I'm sorry. I made the trade last week. I sold it on the 26th. I closed it on the 3rd, yesterday. So I collected $28 on it. I paid $2 to close it out. So again, keeping more than 90% of what I brought in. And then I just sold a new one. I rolled it, right? So I sold a July 25th for $20. I wanted to keep on dropping the price down. When I got into these guys, I do want to own some Bitto shares, but I didn't want to own them at 22, 21. Maybe somewhere under 20, I'd be happy to let them get assigned. So I sold a $20 with the stock at 21.24. It dropped to 21.07 by the end of the day. That's okay. Roughly 6% out of the money. I collected $30 on those, and that trade took place on Thursday. So far on Bitto, I've collected $153. I think I forgot to mention bulls, but it wasn't very many. Let's see. So that one's just going to be 30 minutes. All right, and then finally we take a look at dividends and trades, but I need to correct something, right? That was a negative 9.06, so they're kind of out of order. Okay, as far as my dividend stocks, now, just so you know, I know if you watch, right, you technically didn't get the YMAX, the Ulti, or the Misty distribution this week. I'm just keeping it clean. Normally they would have been paid on Friday, but since Friday's a holiday, they're getting paid on Monday. But I don't want this week to look like a zero week and then next week to look like an enormous week. So I already know what I'm getting because I know how many shares I have and I know what the distribution per share is. So I just put it in as if it was made this week. If you don't like that, sorry. So the only change I made shares-wise is I bought more Ulti. I had 406. I just took it up to 500. So I picked up 94 shares at like 624. That actually brought my cost basis up a couple pennies from 613 to 615. Kind of breaking my own rule. I only want to buy more when it's below my cost basis, but my cost basis is low and Ulti's doing well and I want more shares. So I was okay with it. So as we scroll over, Misty announced a $1.23 per share. Where are we? July. I had 107 shares, I think, so that came out to $132.48. I don't have YMAG anymore. YMAX was, I think, like 15.74 cents per share times my, 212 shares. Came out to 33.36. And Ulti was, what were they, like 9.5 or 9.2 something cents times the 406 shares. I didn't get the extra shares before X date. So that came out to 38.65. So that all totals up to dividends earned this week of 204.49. Then each of those trades that I talked about in my wheel strategy, TSLA was a profit of 157, IONQ 35, bull, call it a loss, but it was really just closing out trades. They were wins, but the received money came in a different week, so it just looks like a loss. Bitto, $27, Ulti, and then Ulti, I made a little trade on Ulti, nothing major. I'm just happy to get more shares if I can. So I sold a $6 put for July 18th. I only collected 10 cents, but this one wasn't really about collecting money. I would love to get assigned, and because if I collected 10 cents on a $6 strike, that would technically buy me 100 shares with a $5.90 cost average. So I'm all for that any day. So I got an extra $9.47 from that trade. That totaled 220 on trades to go with the 204 on dividends, and I made $424.73 this week in my trading account. Capital gains are only down about $87. Current investments total about $13,000. I think this is updated. 2,100 total received year to date. I did not start this at the beginning of the year as far as trying to have these dividend stocks. I actually had some of these old ones that I'm no longer into. So that was where this was the money they paid in the beginning of the year before I started going heavier into these high yield dividend funds. Okay, I think that's just about everything. If you've got any questions, let me know. This is just fun. So got a dad joke of the day for you. So thanks for watching if you made it this far. And if you're not really into this, but you'd love to see how the yield max funds are trading, check out my other videos. They're much more detailed. Okay, this one's kind of a 4th of July related. Hey, if you're cooking out this weekend, grilling the burgers, don't forget the pickles. It's kind of a big deal. That was kind of lame. Okay, everybody have a great 4th of July. I got 2 more videos coming for you this weekend. One will be the guesstimate and week look ahead for ULTI and LFGY. The other will be like a 3-part week in review for the individual income funds that I cover, a guesstimate distribution for I believe it will be Group A, and then also a week look ahead for all the funds. All right. Have a great weekend. Celebrate your freedom.